Good morning, everyone. The microphone usage for a room this size, you might be wondering, well, really, it's for us to record our proceedings. So we're trying to capture some of this so we can reproduce it online. Some of our things will be done online, so that all 10,000 swimmers, all 15,000 swimmers, or 20,000 swimmers, or whatever we end up at, will be able to have access to the core of what we're doing versus trying to get it done in this venue, right? That being said, it is an opportunity to those who've been in attendance to come to this AGM to hear about what we're doing and give input. And I have to say the second part to me is very important, the input part. One of the things you'll note, I should, before I get right to the strategic plan, is mention to you that in my report, which was submitted a while ago, I indicated there'd be two handouts, one of which was for the progress report, and the second one would be the fee increase. I'll speak to the second one first. The fee increase is going to be mailed to the provinces and the registrars to which the fee increase applies. Indirectly, of course, it will come out to the swimmer at some point, but what the provinces choose to do with that fee increase is up to them. So that's why it's not everybody swimmer needs to know, it's the provinces and the registrars need to have that information. So you don't get that handout, but you'll have access to the information. The other is the progress report. When I was going through the progress report to be able to say what's been done and what we're doing now and where we're going, it really was tied in a lot in with where we're going, which is the part that we're getting to today, to talk about our strategic plan, because we could just do a reiteration or an iteration of what has happened, but for your purposes today, it was mainly to say, here's the area, or here are the areas that we're going to go and work in and why we're going to do that. And then, like I said before, ask for your input, because quite honestly, with the timing, it's our plan to deliver the strategic plan done, signed, sealed, delivered for the start of next fall's swim season. So even though you're at the AGM and the timing here could be that we present it to you, we wanted to have this part of the collaboration that has us reaching out to the provinces from that regard, what's going on with the province, to the clubs, and that's happening with Robin, and then to the swimmers to have a chance at our national championship where we're seeing 500 people to get input to say, finally, coaches, this is it, we're about to deliver, like, are you in agreement? Are we congruent in what we're doing? Okay, so that's why we have the opportunity here, and this part that gets put online says that last appeal to say, here's what we're doing, please tell us, you like what we're doing, what's that one thing that's missing that we haven't captured yet, and then in September, it's done, here's where we're charging ahead. Bob did mention that, there's been a lot going on in 3.5 months, and I have to say that as a person, I speak fast, I do things fast, and I operate a little bit like that, and that's not a bad thing for MSC, because in that regard, we're going ahead in all kinds of directions. But what will happen is us to fine-tune that, to take our strat plan and then really hone in on the areas where we can put our resources, both human and financial, okay? I should mention a couple of things. I already put them in the highlight, I'm not gonna reiterate them, but one of them you'll notice was the branding part, like the MSC look, our brand, our whole presence on the national stage. That's one thing to say. We're an organization that has 10,000 members. If we were to draw a parallel to the United States, they have 50,000, well, typically, you'd use a ratio of 1 to 10. We're doing fine with membership and our growth in membership, and we plan to do even better. We plan to capitalize on the 1 million people who Stats Canada have identified as saying they love swimming. And really, behind the scenes, we're thinking we could be a bigger organization than Swimming Canada. And I'd say that's a pretty audacious thing to say, right? They're the keeper of all the swimming, all the things swimming, but we have potential here for huge membership growth in different ways, and we'll get to that a little bit when we talk about the actual strat plan, but it's exciting though to identify Master Swimming Canada. We have a logo now, Better Swimming for All Adults, and we're trying to prop ourselves up organizationally and through our look to act like the national swim or national sport organization that we are, to put ourselves on par, both operationally, organizationally, and with our initiatives, with our look, and who we're dealing with. And I think that's important to mention, like our 1-800 number or 1-855 number, with our slogan, with some of these identifiable markers of our look. So those are there in the highlights. And again, I won't go through those, you can look at those, but the one I have highlighted to bring to your attention would be the partnership part. Because when I speak to you about the strat plan, partnership part to me is pretty important, because as an organization, even though we're 10,000 strong, resource-wise, or staff, and volunteer base isn't very large, and nor is our financial resource base. So we are certainly working to work with the bigger players that can help us both financially and with their resources, the best practices, like Swimming Canada. They've done all this, they know all things swimming, and we can work with them collaboratively in areas that can make our small budget and the small amount of people that we have working be brought up to this level of excellence and reach and scope. So that's what the partnership part is really important to mention, that you'll hear more and more about our involvement with Swim Canada. Plus, they're a valued partner, and they value us. The CEO of Swimming Canada is going to be at our kickoff event tonight, and I'm going to say ours with the organizing committee, of which Tony Hawk is here, and he's flying in this morning, flying out tomorrow. I think it shows by his interest, or by his doing this, that he's most interested in what's going on with Mass Swimming Canada. He's pushing swimming. Parts of his organization will push swimming to kids, will be the pushers of swimming to adults, you know. So I think that's really important to mention the partnership. I also would put one in here. I didn't need to identify them specifically, but Heart and Stroke Association, another partnership that we're working on that speaks to the fitness and health part of what we do. Because certainly where we make a distinction between Swimming Canada and ourselves would be that they're a lot about competition, and those who are here, of course, are about competition, and this event is about competition. Most of our membership is not attached to our organization because of competition. So the health, fitness, fun components need to be addressed. What are we doing in that regard? Heart and Stroke is very intrigued by a membership of 10,000 adults who are working on their fitness and the work we're trying to do to reach even more. And they want to put a sign up in every facility advocating healthy hearts. And they want to do it through swimming. We're the purveyors of that. So it's kind of exciting to say that's the kind of scope we're starting to get now in all the facilities in Canada, and certainly with 250 clubs. We're not in all the facilities in Canada, although that is our goal too, to have master's program all those. So that being said, about our highlights, our fee increase we talked about. Next steps, I mentioned here, you know, the involvement. I've already addressed the partners. I've already addressed the fact that we're trying to get some more input. I've reached out as the ED to the provinces, both the provincial swim organizations and the provincial masters organizations. And then we're saying, you know, swimmers, people, like that's it. Clubs, club managers, registrars, coaches. What else? Take a peek at the strat plan, and then know that from a headline perspective, these are just, I wouldn't call them placeholders, because to identify and say that under organizational structure, PMO development, you know, what does that mean to you? That's us propping up the provinces, so the provincial masters organizations, to make sure that they're set up to run and deliver our programs, get input back from the clubs, the swimmers. So each one of these on their own will also have a much larger strategic plan attached to it. And in each of these areas will be the steps we're going to take, and I'm going to mention those today to say that we're going to have measurable components or steps to each one of these. So that, what does that mean? How are we going to know that we've actually developed our provincial masters organizations? We're also going to have dates attached to them, because right now these all sound great, but until we prioritize and say by when, which one is most compelling to us, which one is in need the most, we'll shuffle those around. And then finally is, well, what are the budgetary implications? So the budget might lead our hand in where we're going to actually put the dates and the weight, right? We might have fantasies involved here that are not realistic in the first 3 years. They may have to be put back, but they'll remain on here to say that's a 5-year strategic plan, and they'll appear at some point. So the ones that are on the front right now that I'll just mention to you, I touched on the heart and stroke, and I won't isolate about heart and stroke, but when we talk about the fitness component, is us making sure that we've addressed the needs of the health and wellness component of our values, and that fitness, you know, if your club says that, you know, you have a fitness program, and certainly ours does, where we say competition, fitness, what are the initiatives that deal with, you know, health and wellness directly versus pool swimming, length swimming, and competition, right? And so under swimmer development. Under coach development, it is our belief, and that came from, this has been on the strategic plan for a number of years about coach development. What does that mean? Who are our coaches? We're trying to build up the coach resource by actually having NCCP qualified coaches. Help them, because if your coach is an excellent coach, that is making swimming better to you directly, the swimmer. Like all the other stuff that we talk about, how does it really affect you? It's your actual swimming experience, mostly in your workouts or in your open water experiences in competition. So we really want to help your coaches, in the words of Jerry Maguire, help your coaches help you. So that will be happening within the next 12 months, likely 6 months. But when it comes to club development, that's the other part. How can we what are the best clubs in the country? What do they do to make the swim experience better? Which clubs have the highest retention rate, right? Why do people keep coming back to that club? What makes it so wonderful? So if we find out what those clubs are doing that are good, and we prop them up, other clubs up with the same resources, you'll have excellent clubs. You as a swimmer, or those other people who come in and left the sport, why did they leave? Let's make them stay. So Some things that Robin's going to be talking about in the Club Excellence will address that. I mentioned, and then finally with this, I mentioned the membership growth. If you're speaking, if I'm addressing you as a swimmer, the fact that there'd be more members, I don't know if that's a compelling reason to be supportive of our initiatives, to say, how does membership growth help you? And if you heard Bob's intro, when he talked about, you know, more people and more initiatives and that growth, of course, the things that we can do, the places we will go, to quote Dr. Seuss, actually, I can't believe I did that here, but the things we can do when we have a larger base from which to work from, right? So the partnership, market outreach, the involvement, if you notice when you go on deck, we have a new trade show style booth to have available perhaps at provincial championships, but certainly a national championship like this, and then in the ubiquity market, into places like the Zoomer show that's marketing to adults 45 years and older, right? I think it's pretty important to say that swimming for adults is key. So we're the providers of programs and involvement to attach those people to our organization. And I should mention here, for the record, that those people may not necessarily come in through a swim club. If that's the way we're set up right now, is if you want to join our organization through a swim club, in the future, all those adults, all of those people that are around, and lane swimmers and miscellaneous people in the millions in this country, can be attached to our organization through the things that we're doing. So, I mean, that sounds pretty broad, but I'm saying to you, back to this, what else? What else do you want to see? What else do you want to know about what's going on in our strap time? These are the key pointers of where we're heading. I think I've touched on them, and I think that for me is it. We're here for this weekend to talk to you informally, but we'll try to make something a little bit more formalized online to reach out to us, all right? So I thank you. I think that Bob now has to ask you to receive what I've just said, so receive all that. Thank you.